People in the Ontario riding of Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes will head to the polls on December 3rd. But voters in 3 other ridings in Ontario, Quebec and BC will have to wait. The Prime Minister has yet to call by-elections there, meaning those seats in Parliament will stay vacant for now. The NDP is not happy about it because its leader, Jagmeet Singh, intends to run in the Burnaby South by-election. Justin Trudeau has until March to call that vote. And NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh joins me now. Hi, Mr. Singh.
Hi there.
Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming back in.
Good to see you too.
Appreciate it. I heard your press conference today. I saw your tweets. You said that it was disrespectful of the Prime Minister, disrespectful to voters of the Prime Minister not to call this by-election. But your own MP, Kennedy Stewart, delayed his departure from the House of Commons for more than 4 months after announcing his intention to run for mayor of Vancouver. Was that not also disrespectful to voters?
Well, I mean, if we look at it, the proportionality here is that we've got 300,000 people that are waiting for representation. So the government, the Liberals, particularly Justin Trudeau, has a responsibility to call by-elections when seats are vacant. And that's the common practice. If you look through the history of Canada, the common practice has been whenever there's a vacancy, then prime ministers have called by-elections. And the fact that he hasn't called this by-election, or the fact he hasn't called the 3 that are outstanding, really raises some questions. What are his motives? Why is he doing this?
But he has a responsibility from 6 months when the seat is vacated to call that by-election. That seat wasn't vacated until September 17th because your MP pulled double duty, essentially.
Well, at the end of the day, as soon as the seat is vacant, if you look at previous practices, as soon as the seat is vacant, a prime minister can call the election at any time. There's no requirement that they have to wait the full 6 months.
So there's no requirement, but he has that option available to him, and so he's taking it. It may be against convention, as you're describing it, but he's allowed to do it.
But really, the question is why, though? What's the reason? If you're calling one by-election, there's 3 others that are available. There's the people of York-Simcoe who want to have representation, the people of Outremont that want to have representation, the people of Burnaby South. The question really arises, if you can call one of the by-elections because there's a vacancy, why not just call the other ones? Is it a question of a lack of respect for the people that live there? Is Justin Trudeau afraid to hear that people are disappointed with the decisions that his government and he has made? Is it that he's afraid to face people that are concerned about his decision not to defend the environment like he promised to do? Is it because he's afraid to face people of Outremont who are concerned about the decision to purchase a pipeline? What is the reason?
What do you think the reason is?
Well, I think a lot of these questions are legitimate questions. I think that it raises the question. Maybe he's afraid of the fact that people are really disappointed. What I hear when I go to Burnaby South is the fact that housing is the #1 concern. People are concerned about housing prices that are just out of control. And the Liberals, Justin Trudeau, proposed a housing plan. But that housing plan, 90% of the funding of that plan won't be delivered until after the next election. And people are faced with a crisis right now. So they're saying, well,
but won't he be facing those issues in the election anyway? I mean, do you really think that he's afraid and that's why he's not calling these? Or is it just politics?
Well, I mean, it's at the end of the day, if you look through the analysis, I mean, is this in the benefit of people that he's not calling it? No, there's no argument that you made that this somehow helps the people of those ridings that he's not calling it. Okay, then we're left with, does it help the Liberal Party or does it help Justin Trudeau? Is it in his interest? If he's making a decision for his interest, not the interest of the people, then I think he's making a mistake in terms of what his job is as Prime Minister. When it comes to representation, it's really not a question. You should allow people to have representation. There could be differences of opinion in terms of policies, but there should be no controversy around allowing people to have a voice.
Do you wish Kennedy Stewart had vacated the seat earlier?
And that was Kennedy Stewart's decision to vacate.
You're the leader. Should he have?
It was his decision to vacate when he thought it was appropriate for him in his life. I mean, the job and the work of an MP is very difficult, and I don't want to presume people's decisions when and why they resign. But I can hold the government to account for not calling a by-election when it's a common practice to do so, and it gives people a chance to have their voice.
You're also the leader of the party, right? Do you have an opinion on what Kennedy Stewart did? I mean, if he had vacated 4 months earlier, you would have been quite ahead of the game right now. The Prime Minister would have had only 6 months to call it.
Well, I mean, again, with respect to someone's decision, I would never presume to know why someone should resign or when they should resign. That's an individual decision, and I respect anyone who makes that decision. There's many reasons, family reasons, other opportunities that they want to pursue. That's something that's very personal. But I can hold a government to account and say, listen, there's no reason, there's no justification for a government, for Justin Trudeau, not to call by-elections when they're available, when there's people that have the right to have their voices heard, when people have the right to say, listen, I'm upset about the government's current decisions around housing or the current decision around pharmacare. And I want to voice that concern that I have with my ability to vote. And taking that away from people or not giving the people a chance to do that is problematic.
There have also been 5 by-elections that have been held since you've been leader. Why wouldn't you have run in any of those?
Well, the question isn't about me running in them or not running in them. The question is about the fact that those by-elections were called. When seats were vacated, they were called, and that's the right thing to do. In this case,
but if you were concerned about representing people, if you want a seat in the House, why wouldn't you have run earlier?
Well, I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on the fact that there were vacancies, and I made my priorities very clear. Previously, when asked the question, I made it really clear, I'm going to focus on connecting with the people. Now I've made it really clear why I'm running in Burnaby South. I made an instant connection with the folks in Burnaby South, and I was encouraged by people that lived in the community to run, and I decided to run. But the government's not being clear about
So you're only running because of the feeling you had in Burnaby, because you want to represent people there, not to just have a seat in the House as leader?
Well, I made my intentions very clear. I told folks why I wasn't running for a seat before, and then when I made a decision to run in Burnaby, I explained why I ran in Burnaby. The government hasn't explained why they're not calling these by-elections. They haven't provided a reason that makes sense for people. There might be a reason that makes sense for Justin Trudeau, but is there a reason that makes sense for the people, for those 300,000 people? No, and that's concerning.
I want to move on because you also were talking today about, essentially your party took the position that Canada should not sign USMCA, the new NAFTA, whatever people are calling it, without securing exemptions from those steel and aluminum 232 tariffs. Do you really think Canada should walk away, blow up this deal, in order to secure those?
Well, Mexico has made a similar announcement that they've said that they are going to make a requirement of signing this deal the lifting of these illegal tariffs. And in the case of Canada, 232 tariffs have no basis. These are illegal tariffs. The justification...
Which the government says.
Yeah, the justification is national security. There's no justification for that. Why would we sign an agreement, a trade agreement, that's supposed to address trade issues with the looming illegal tariffs that are going to put thousands of Canadian jobs at risk? We're talking about 140,000 indirect jobs and 35,000 direct jobs. These are good paying jobs that are really important to communities across Canada. Why would we sign an agreement when these illegal tariffs are still there? That doesn't make sense.
What about the jobs that the agreement secured? And I'm thinking particularly of the auto sector, where there was great celebration when this deal was signed and a great sense of security. Also, a lot of positive reaction to the concessions that were secured from Mexico on wages and labor rights. I mean, are you willing to walk away from all of that to secure those exemptions?
Well, I mean, in the first place, these tariffs were used, and we all know they were used as a bullying tactic for the USMCA. So this bullying tactic was used, illegal tariffs were imposed. We've got to stand up and say, listen, we've conceded a lot. I mean, and I've got concerns about some of those concessions on supply management, concessions on pharmaceuticals, which are going to drive up the cost of medication. We've made concessions. There is no reason that justifies allowing an ongoing illegal tariff to continue that's going to threaten thousands of jobs when we're in the midst of about to sign a contract. We should make sure it's an agreement, a part of the agreement to say, listen, those are illegal tariffs anyways. We're going to win in court. Remove those tariffs now and we'll sign.
Except for we don't know we're going to win in court, because we just had the head of the WTO here, for example, on Friday, and he said, I'm not sure the WTO is the place to argue these. So there is no certainty. And I just wanted to get back to the original question of, are you willing to say to auto workers, sorry guys, that security, that relief that you just enjoyed, we're taking it away because I'm too worried about this side of the economy?
I think that we can't let down workers in general. This is an opportunity. We're signing an agreement. In signing an agreement, it makes no sense to sign an agreement when there's an ongoing illegal tariff that's being placed. It makes no sense for us to do that. We know Mexico has made it an agreement element or criteria. But
I'm saying, I'm saying
that Mexico has said it really clearly. We're not going to sign this until you actually get rid of the tariffs.
I don't know if it's been super clear, though. Has it?
Well, they've announced that. They've made that very clear that that's one of the criteria for signing the deal. Mexico's already made that announcement. We should do it. We should make it absolutely clear that this is an opportunity for us to negotiate. They also need this deal to be signed. We have a bargaining chip, which is signing the deal, the final signing of the deal, and we've got this tariff that doesn't make any sense.
But the calculation you're making, though, is that it's worth blowing up everything that was secured for those tariffs.
I'm saying that we've got to negotiate smart. We've got to negotiate aggressively. And at this point,
you'd be willing to walk away from that deal as Prime Minister?
I would say very clearly that this has to be an element of this agreement. There's no way we can sign it. Like, how can we have a trade agreement that allows an outstanding issue that's going to impact so many Canadians? Thousands of jobs are at stake, 140,000 jobs. And we've got an element of our trade agreement it's not being addressed in an agreement we're about to sign. It just doesn't make sense. This is their chance. This is our bargaining chip. This is our opportunity. Let's say we will sign this agreement if you get rid of those, lift those tariffs, which don't make sense in the first place.
Okay, I have to leave it there. I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thanks.